finds from all 4 trenches in here. At the end of the day, people bring in a dirty seed tray full of dirty finds, and my job is to try and clean them up to find out what they are, or to clean them up for other people to find out what they are. But usually it's been pot, lots of pots, with the most interesting tending to be the rims, because they have food residues on them just beneath the rim where the pot's boiled over. It's true what the dentist tells you, if you go round and round motion it's better than a sideways motion. There you go. I've dry brushed these and
so I've brought some of the finds out from the finds tent so that we can see where they actually came from. It's right on the gateway into the area that we've been working on. So what we'd like to know is what date then? What's going on when they put this big boundary ditch round our area full of roundhouses? Well, the first thing that we've been looking at that I think is really nice is actually a little bit of flint. So this is a large chunky flint scraper. You can see where it's been nibbled away at to create a nice rounded edge around here. It's probably Neolithic. The edge has gone off it a bit now. You can imagine someone using that to scrape down a hide ready for processing. So nice flint scraper, but that's probably been lying around in the soil for quite some time, thousands of years, before it found its way into our big boundary ditch. So let's look at some of the other things we've got. So this is one of our loom weights. Well, it's the only loom weight from this site. We've had others from Hemingbrugh, which were slightly bigger than this, but you can see here
that is where the hole went through to take a cord which would have held down the warp of the material. So they had lots of these on a frame, on a loom, and so you could do the weaving, the weft through those quite easily.
Now in other sites, Hemingbrugh in particular where we've been excavating, these have always been associated with Iron Age deposits. So maybe that means that our big enclosure going round the ring ditches, going round the roundhouses, is Iron Age, and the whole thing is Iron Age. So not Neolithic. That could just been lying around in the soil for thousands of years. This would make it possibly Iron Age. We can't date this perfectly. But other things that are in that ditch, well, we've got a piece of a very, very large vessel. I'm not entirely sure whether this is Iron Age or Romano-British yet, but this is a handle, so you can imagine it either being held like that or being held like that. It could go that way to have rope put through it to make it easier to carry. It's quite a light orange colour. It's might suggest it's a little bit later than Iron Age, but I'd still put that with our loom weight, I think. But there are other things in this ditch, and what we've got quite a lot of is actually we've got pottery that's of a Roman date, a Romano-British date, and we've also got a very large piece here of amphora. So this is very much the archetypal Roman storage jar.
It could have had wine, oil, but it's been turned. You can tell it's been turned on a wheel because it's got the striations across there where the potters held it.
This could easily have come from the centre of the Roman Empire, or at least to the south, and shipped out to the northern climes of the empire here near Eberacum, just down the road. Means that they're bringing stuff in, that they are participating in a market here. They're taking stuff into York and they're coming back in their cart with an amphora full of something that they can use. And that's really putting our big ditch, or at least the backfilling of our big ditch, into the Romano-British period, which makes it the last thing to get filled in throughout the site. This is really interesting, and it's partly interesting because we haven't had quite so much ironworking evidence from this site as we have from the other ones we've worked at, or in fact from the small scale work that we did on the other side of the road here in Wheldrake. And that's ironworking material. So this is quite nice. It's a little piece of what we call tap slag. What tap slag is where when they're pouring the iron out of after they've smelted it, they're pouring it out of the crucible. Some of it, the runs and things, run off the sides, which you can then tap off to get to the liquid pure iron. But you can see where, as it was coming out of the crucible, you can see where it's been running down. It's really nice stuff, and I love the way that you can see that little moment in time frozen as the iron set. But this is quite good quality iron. It's quite surprising that they haven't put it back in to recycle. But we've only had a couple of things here of ironworking. There must be some going on, but maybe not quite as much as in other places, or maybe we just haven't looked at the right spot. Trench 1 and 3 have got quite a lot in common, really. They're both essentially areas where people during the Iron Age appear to have been living. Well, how do we know that? They've been building roundhouses, which is usually a giveaway, but plenty of people carry on living in roundhouses into the Romano-British period. So how do we know the difference? Well, the big giveaway is the pottery. And we've got lots of pottery coming out of these ditches that went around the roundhouses, where they've thrown away big chunks of cooking pots. You can see lots of little holes in it where they've put in gravels and that have actually rotted away. So we've got these little holes. They wouldn't have been there originally. They did carry on making this sort of pot right through into the Roman period in local areas, but we're fairly happy that these are Iron Age material. So a good example with some of the little bits of grit and things still left in, little bits of quartz there. We've been very lucky that quite a lot of our pot appears to have food residue on it. This looks very much like the dishes that I've left in the sink to soak at this very moment. The burnt on bits round the edges. In this particular instance, the pot's broken. No one's bothered to give it one last wash. It's broken, and so it's well and truly encrusted there with some sort of material. We've been keeping lots of samples of this. So this is, in this particular case, we've washed this one, but many of them we've just dry brushed, wrapped up in silver foil, and we're going to send that away to be analysed for the fatty lipids that soak into the pot. So that's been someone's cooking pot. So a massive collection of Iron Age pottery, and this is what gives us the date for most of the roundhouses on the site.